So, what does it actually take to live a good life? Today, we're going to step back about 2,500 years right into the classroom of Confucius to see if we can find a blueprint for living well. And you'll see, it's more relevant now than ever. Let's get into it. In our world today, it is so easy to get caught up in ambition, right? Building a career, building a personal brand. But what if the secret to a truly fulfilling life, to being a genuinely good person, has been waiting for us this whole time? This is the exact question Confucius was wrestling with, and his answers, well, they're incredibly powerful. At the very heart of his philosophy is this one really elegant idea. It goes, Wenji bin bin, ran ho jin zi. Basically, only when substance and style are in perfect balance can you be a gentleman, or what he called a junzi, an exemplary person. The whole goal isn't to be just one thing or another. It's about finding that harmony between who you are on the inside and how you show up on the outside. And Confucius breaks this idea down into a concept called Wen-zi. So think of it like this. Zi is your substance. It's your raw character, your integrity, your guts. Then you have Wen, which is your style, your refinement, your education, how you carry yourself. Now here's the warning. If you have too much substance and not enough style, you just seem kind of crude. But if you have all style and no substance, well, then you're just a fake. The Junzi walks that perfect line right down the middle. Okay, so how do you even begin to find that balance? Well, for Confucius, everything, and I mean everything, starts with the inner journey. Before you can even think about leading other people, you have to work on yourself. And there is no better example of this than his all-time favorite student. Let me introduce you to Yan Hui. This was a man Confucius just deeply admired. And why? Well, look at these qualities. The guy lived in a shack, basically, with a single bowl of rice a day, but he was always joyful. He had incredible emotional control. If he got angry, he never took it out on somebody else. And he was a true learner. He never made the same mistake twice. For months at a time, his heart was just purely good. This guy is the absolute gold standard of inner substance. But what if that inner journey just feels impossible? I love this part. A student comes up to Confucius and basically says, "Master, I love your teachings, I really do, but I'm just not strong enough to live like that." And Confucius just calls him right out. He says, look, if you really lacked strength, you'd fail halfway through trying. But you haven't even started. You're just drawing a line in the sand and telling yourself you can't cross it. The point is so powerful. Often, the only thing stopping us is the limit we've already set for ourselves. And this really shows the path to making all that inner work actually stick. Confucius saw 3 levels to learning. At the first level, you just know the right thing to do. Okay, that's a start. But it's way better to genuinely love doing the right thing. But the highest level? That's when you find pure joy, real delight in being a good person. That's when it all becomes effortless, just like it was for Yan Hui. So you've started to cultivate your inner self. How does that start to translate to the outside world? Well, the next step is leadership. What did Confucius, a guy who advised rulers, think made a good leader? Turns out he was a pretty sharp and practical talent scout. When somebody asked him if his students were ready for public office, he didn't just say yep or nope. He gave a super specific breakdown of their strengths. Zilu? Oh, he's decisive, a man of action. Get it done. Zigong? He's perceptive, he just gets it. And Ron Q? He's got a ton of different skills. The lesson is pretty clear. Great leadership isn't about finding one perfect person. It's about knowing the unique talents of everyone on your team and putting them in the right spot to win. But leadership is also about making hard, ethical calls. Check out this little story. A student asks for a bunch of green to be sent to the mother of another disciple who's away on a mission. Seems like a nice thing to do, right? Supporting a colleague. But Confucius says no, flat out. Why? Because the disciple on that mission was already super rich. His mom didn't need the help. And Confucius's response is so sharp and so clear, a gentleman helps the needy, not the rich. Real leadership is about sending resources where they're actually needed, not just making gestures that feel good. All right, so we've got inner work and we've got practical leadership. So how do these 2 ideas come together to give us a philosophy for how we should actually live and interact with the world every single day? Confucius uses these really beautiful metaphors from nature. He says the wise are like water. They're active, flowing, always moving, and they find happiness in that. But the benevolent, the truly good people, they're like mountains, still, tranquil, solid, and they find long life in that calmness. It's not about one being better than the other. They are 2 sides of the same coin. these complementary virtues that make for a full and balanced life. And what does that kind of virtue look like when the pressure is on? Well, there's this perfect story of Ming Zifan, a military officer whose army had to retreat. He volunteered for the most dangerous job, the rear guard, to make sure everyone else got out safely. It was an act of just unbelievable bravery. But here's the amazing part. As he's riding back into the city, everyone's ready to praise him as a hero. And instead of taking a victory lap, he whips his horse and says, "Oh, I wasn't brave enough to be last. My horse was just really slow." He completely downplayed his own heroism. I mean, that is the perfect embodiment of Wenji. His substance was courage, but his style was total humility. True virtue doesn't need applause. And that brings us to what is, you could argue, the single most important principle in all of Confucian thought. Ji li are li ren, ji da are da ren. If you want to establish yourself, first help establish others. If you want to succeed, first help others succeed. This is his definition of true benevolence. It's not a passive thing, like don't do bad stuff. It's an active, positive command. Your success is fundamentally tangled up with the success of everyone around you. So when you put it all together, the lesson from Confucius's classroom is actually pretty simple and incredibly clear. A good life, a truly great life, isn't about fame. It's not about money. It's about finding that balance between your inner character and your outer actions, always committing to getting better, and understanding that the very best way to reach your own goals is to help other people reach theirs. You know, this philosophy wasn't built for a specific time or a specific place. It was built for people, trying to figure out how to live well, together. So the final question isn't for me, it's for you. From the discipline of Yan Hui to the humility of Ming Zifan, which one of these ancient lessons can you bring into your life starting tomorrow? Thanks for watching.